Moving into the core of our discussion today, let's look at the overview of the cultural landscape we are analyzing. To understand the current state of art policy in Malaysia, we must first address Hallyu or the Korean wave. This isn't just a trend, but a global cultural movement where South Korean influence has permeated almost every artistic domain, from music and drama to fashion and daily lifestyle. In Malaysia, this shift have gained significant momentum with the airing of the K-drama Winter Sonata. Since then, the movement has evolved into what we call transmedia sovereignty. Thanks to digital platforms, Korean content is no longer just on our TVs, but it is everywhere. The high consumption rates on platforms like YouTube, Netflix, and Spotify has fundamentally reshaped the cultural preferences of Malaysian youth, making the K culture as a primary pillar of their entertainment diet. However, this brings us to a critical policy challenge: the prioritization of foreign content. Because of the production value of Hallyu exports, local Malaysian content often struggles to compete. Therefore, the impact of this twofold, which is the reduced visibility, it becomes harder for local artists to find an audience and commercial success. And also, there is a growing concern regarding the potential erosion of distinct Malaysian culture identity among the younger generation. Next, we move into the actual evolution of Hallyu, which is typically categorized into four distinct waves, starting with Hallyu 1 in the late 90s. The focus was almost entirely on television dramas. This era was defined by titles like Winter Sonata, which became a cultural anchor in Malaysia. What made this wave so successful here was its alignment with Confucian values, or East Asian values, with the themes of filial piety, respect for elders, and modesty resonated deeply with Malaysian social norms, making content feel familiar and safe. By the mid 2000s, we transitioned into Hallyu 2. This was the K-pop revolution. Platforms like YouTube and social media bypassed traditional broadcasting hurdles, allowing groups like Super Junior and Wonder Girls to reach Malaysian youth directly. Consumption became much more interactive. Fans weren't just passive viewers anymore. They became active participants in digital communities, fundamentally changing how media is consumed in the region. As technology advanced, so did the waves of influence. Hallyu 3 is the era of digital platforms dominance, where you can think of Netflix and View. Global sensations like Squid Game demonstrated the Korean storytelling could achieve total market saturation. This period introduced the concept of consumer sovereignty in Malaysia. Our youth became active decision makers, intentionally curating their daily lifestyle, fashion, and even purchasing habits based on K culture aesthetic rather than just watching a show. Finally, we are now entering Hallyu 4. This is the era digital transformation. We are moving beyond videos into immersive digital ecosystem involving AI and the metaverse. The Malaysian youth are no longer just consumers, but became content creators within these virtual spaces, engaging with virtual groups like and digital avatars. This marks a shift where Hallyu is no longer just a foreign import, but a global production standard that is now integrated into the very fabric of our digital lives.
My name is Alia Wahida binti Al-Bakri, nama metric 103195. For this section, I will explain the National Culture Policy 1971, also known as NCP 1971. The National Culture Policy was introduced by the Malaysian government after 1969 racial conflict. The main purpose of this policy was to strengthen the national unity and create a shared Malaysian identity among the multicultural society. The government believed that culture could become an important tool for social harmony, national building, and culture preservation. At the same time, the policy aimed to guide the development of arts and culture in Malaysia while protecting local tradition from excessive foreign influence. This policy is still relevant today, especially in addressing issues related to globalization and increasing influence of foreign culture such as Korean popular culture among Malaysian youth. Next, I will explain the three main principles of the National Culture Policy 1971. The first principle is indigenous culture as the foundation. This means Malaysian national culture should be based on a local indigenous culture because it represents the identity, heritage, and tradition of the nation. Traditional arts, custom, and language form the foundation of Malaysian identity. The second principle is acceptance of suitable foreign elements. Malaysia accepts foreign cultural influence that are beneficial and suitable for society. However, foreign culture should be not replace and weaken local cultural identity. This principle is highly related to our issue because Korean culture can be appreciated, but local culture should be remain dominant and valued. The third principle is Islam as important component. Islam play an important role in shaping national culture because it influences value, ethics, and moral principles within Malaysian society. Therefore, culture activities and policies should be respect Islamic values.
Hi, my name is Masna Aziminti Aslensha. Nama magic 104900. So I'm going to talk about Article 152 and contemporary trends. Article 152 highlights the importance of Bahasa Melayu as national language and as a symbol of Malaysia's national identity and unity. It also functions as the main language in official communication and cultural representation. However, contemporary trends show increasing influence from globalization, such as the use of mixed Korean language in daily life, foreign branding, and the spread of Hallyu culture through digital media and entertainment platforms. These trends bring both positive and negative impacts. On one hand, they improve international communication, strengthen global competitiveness, and support modernization. On the other hand, they may reduce the use of Bahasa Melayu, increase the dominance of foreign culture among youth, and raise concern about the erosion of local cultural identity. I'm going to pass the next presentation to the next presenter. Thank you.
To understand why Hallyu dominates, we have to look at the root causes which largely boil down to a massive disparity in strategy and funding. First, the government-driven strategy. South Korea treats culture as a high-value export, where it is a top-down soft power approach, supported by the tax incentive and the Cultural Industry Bureau. In contrast, Malaysian funding is often fragmented. While Korea focuses on global cultural branding, our funding is primarily domestic focused, often aimed at a social harmony rather than an intentional competition. Second, the production quality gap. Korean agencies operate with blockbuster standards. They use what they call as cultural technology. It is a system involving massive budgets, elite cinematography, and years of strict artist training. Meanwhile, the Malaysian industry is largely led by SMEs, with modest budget. Even we have a local hits like Project High Council, they still face a steep uphill battle when trying to compete against the high-end visual production of global giants like Netflix. So what does this look on the ground in Malaysia? We see two major impacts. The first is the normalization of cultural hybridity. Hallyu has integrated so deeply into the Malaysian lifestyle that it has birthed new local industries. We now see halal Korean trends from certified cuisines to Sharia compliant fan events. Foreign aesthetics has become a norm within our local fabric, allowing fans to adopt Korean elements without feeling like they are losing their religious or national values. However, the second impact is a shift in consumption preferences. This is where the visibility crisis happens. Malaysian youth are now so accustomed to blockbuster production standards that they naturally prefer high-budget K content over local works. This creates a cycle where domestic productions face financial obstacles. They cannot secure the multi-millionaire dollar backing needed to match foreign fictions, leading to a crowded market where local voices are unfortunately drowned out.
Next, I will explain the ethical consideration of the proposed national culture balance and creative sustainability policy using the evaluate approach. The approach evaluates whether the policy is fair, inclusive and sustainable within Malaysia society. Firstly, the policy does not completely ban foreign culture content like Hallyu. Instead, it supports local creative industry through content quotas, grant, and financial support. while still allowing audience to enjoy international media. Secondly, the policy promote cultural sensitivity by ensuring equal support for Malaysian deserved culture community. This is important in maintaining social harmony and strengthening national identity. However, some younger generation may view the policy as as restrictive because they are highly influenced by global digital culture and Hallyu content. Overall, the policy creates a balanced approach between preserving local culture and accepting global cultural influence in a sustainable and ethical way. That's all for me. Thank you.
For the proposed policy solution, the study suggests the implementation of a national cultural balance and creative sustainability policy. The purpose of this policy is to ensure that globalization and foreign culture influence do not weaken Malaysia's local identity and creative industry. First, the government can introduce a local content quota in media and entertainment platforms to increase the visibility of Malaysian works. Second, more funding and incentives should be provided to support local artists and creators. In addition, cultural awareness campaigns can help society, especially younger generation, appreciate Malaysian culture and heritage. Overall, this policy aims to strengthen Malaysian cultural identity while still allowing engagement with global cultural trends.
For this section, I will explain the visibility of the policy. For the visibility of the proposed policy, there are three important aspects, which is political, social, and economic visibility. First, politically. The policy is visible because it aligned with the National Culture Policy 1971, which support the culture, preservation, and strengthening national identity. Second, socially, the policy may receive positive public acceptance, especially from the groups that support local arts and heritage. However, youth response and stakeholder reaction may vary because many young people are strongly influenced by foreign media trends and entertainment culture. Lastly, economically, the policy required the continuous government funding and support to ensure the sustainability and growth of the local creative industry. Support for local artists and creators is very important to help them compete in modern digitally entertainment industry. In conclusion, the proposed policy is considered feasible because it supports the goals of the National Culture Policy 1971 while addressing current culture challenge in Malaysia.